For decades, psychology operated under a simple assumption about clothes. We treated them as a one-way communication tool, a method for broadcasting wealth, social status, or group membership to everyone else. That perspective began to fracture with the discovery of embodied cognition. Researchers realized the human mind is not an isolated computer. Our abstract thoughts are heavily swayed by physical sensations. Holding a heavy object, for example, tricks the brain into evaluating an idea as having more weight and importance. In 2012, researchers Hajo Adam and Adam Galinsky pushed this further with the theory of enclothed cognition. They argued that the closest physical environment to our bodies, the fabric resting on our skin, actively hijacks our neural processes. Putting on a specific garment executes an internal code that systematically calibrates the wearer's thoughts, empathy, and behaviors. This cognitive shift requires a strict two-part formula occurring simultaneously before the brain changes its processing style. The first requirement is symbolic meaning. Society and history bake specific traits into certain garments, which the brain stores as data. When you see this white lab coat, your brain retrieves a web of associations: scientific precision, extreme focus, and caution. To test this, Adam and Galinsky brought participants into a lab and gave them identical white coats. Half were told it was a doctor's coat, the other half were told it was a painter's smock. Then both groups performed a rigorous attention test. This chart shows the error rates recorded during that test. The control group and the painter group made a high number of mistakes, but for the people wearing the doctor's coat, errors plummeted by exactly half. The fabric on their shoulders was identical. Cognitive performance only improved when the brain could attach a specific social meaning to the physical experience of wearing it. The second requirement is the physical experience. Merely looking at a lab coat draped over a desk fails to trigger the effect. The fabric must literally touch the skin to merge the abstract concept with the wearer's body. In 2019, this theory faced a major replication crisis as researchers struggled to reproduce the original lab coat data. To find the truth, modern scientists moved past behavioral tests and began looking directly at the brain's electrical hardware. A 2023 study used EEG machines to measure electrical activity in the brain while subjects wore different uniforms. They were asked to make moral choices about delivering electric shocks to other people. When subjects wore a Red Cross uniform, their brains showed a massive spike in neural waves related to feeling the physical pain of others. When those same subjects put on a military uniform, they reported a higher sense of personal agency, but their brain's empathy response to seeing others in pain flattened out. This data comparison shows the brain's electrical activity. The Red Cross side exhibits sharp spikes in empathy-related components, while the military side shows those same waves remaining suppressed and dull. The physical sensation of wearing a garment extends the neural network to the edges of the fabric, physically rewiring our moral compass. This cognitive bridge can also be self-destructive. Researchers found that wearing counterfeit luxury goods, like these sunglasses, significantly alters personal ethics. Wearing fake brands physically manifests a counterfeit self. Dealing with a dishonest item subconsciously increases the wearer's tendency to lie and cheat in subsequent tasks. We see similar cognitive sabotage in studies involving swimsuits. Wearing a bikini in a non-beach environment triggers self-objectification, a state of intense physical self-awareness that consumes mental energy. This diagram illustrates the drain on working memory capacity. The brain becomes so occupied with body shame and self-consciousness that it lacks the resources to solve complex problems, causing math test scores to drop significantly. Garments carrying dishonest or socially inappropriate symbolic weight actively sabotage our cognitive bandwidth and degrade our decision-making. We can use these findings to engineer our own productivity. Putting on a formal suit creates psychological distance, moving the brain away from emotional details and toward big-picture executive thinking. In fitness, activewear serves as a behavioral primer. The physical sensation of the gear signals to the brain that the transition to exercise has already happened, destroying the mental friction that causes procrastination. Even children use this through the Batman effect. Preschoolers wearing superhero costumes can tolerate boring, repetitive tasks for much longer by adopting the psychological armor of the character they are wearing. Managers and therapists should treat dress codes as strategic levers for mental alignment, rather than superficial aesthetic rules. Every item in a closet functions as a piece of a psychological toolkit. Mastering the day requires choosing a wardrobe that matches the required mental state.